when you own a company named HR Pro, you should have reasonably good HR practices. But we evolved from doing benefit consulting to doing benefit administration. From there, we moved into HR administration, and then from there, we moved into HR consulting.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again with the MISHRM Resource Partner Videocast. I'm your host, Greg Coyne with Jerry Weinberg and Associates Sandler Training. And today my guest is Kris Powell. He is the CEO of HR Pro BenePro in Royal Oak, Michigan, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. Thank you for being here, Kris. Glad you can make it out.
Glad to be here.
So why don't we just dive in? One of the things that I'm always interested in is I want from the horse's mouth, so to speak, I want to hear what is your company all about and how do you differentiate yourself in the world of HR and benefits?
Well, we work with companies really these days, especially the real challenge today is to get employers ways to better attract and bring in talent. I mean, the challenge right now is very demographic. We have a lot of baby boomers who are retiring. In fact, there's about 35 or 40 million people who were born in that 56 to 61, 62 area. Mm-hmm. And we started kind of having a trail off in live baby births in 2000. So the number of people to replace them is inadequate, and we face some really big challenges. It's not something that's going to go away anytime soon. If you look at the demographic numbers right now, this is going to be an ongoing phenomenon for years to come. So we really work with employers to take a look at finding ways to better attract and retain that talent. How do they build their employer brand? How do they make things look better? What do they do in terms of their benefit program, their HR programs? We try to really cut away a lot of the waste in a lot of the areas and streamline areas so that we're able to free up funds to let HR focus better on, well, number one, building that culture, building and helping the employer to build the culture, but also be more strategically involved with what's going on in a company as opposed to shuffling paper. So, we're all about streamlining. When you look at the medical cost, we're all about eliminating and getting rid of a lot of the waste in that. And there is a massive amount of waste. I mean, our best clients are achieving 25 to 30% cost reductions because of what we're doing by eliminating. That's not cutting back benefit programs, increasing deductibles, making it more painful for the employee. You don't want to do that, and particularly in this environment.
Sure. People
are fed up with that. So how do you attract people? And let's be serious, there's the other part, which is because of all the inflationary pressures on wages right now, people are looking to get 8 to 10% increases in pay every year.
Yeah.
So if you're an employer without, and you're in a competitive market, your margins are already compressed. How are you supposed to pay people 8 to 10% more? Your only way you're going to be able to do it is to look at how I streamline, how I reduce waste, and how I get things where they need to be. So to a degree, I think we're moving into an era where we're going to be helping a lot of employers survive, not just, and survival's dependent upon having good people on board.
Absolutely.
And the ones that survive are going to be the ones that are able to figure out ways to reduce costs so they can focus more on getting their people costs taken care of and not just throwing money away on stuff.
Yeah, and I heard some crazy statistics the other day that in the next 3 years, so in 2025, and I happen to be a Gen Xer, that 75% of the workforce will be millennials and Gen Z. And so a lot of that in terms of building a culture and getting the right talent in is gonna be key. So with regards to that, you talked about being able to help reduce those a lot of the waste. You're in it all the time. What's right. Some of the waste that you see that could just be a minor benefit without giving all the, everything behind the scenes away?
Without giving away the secret sauce.
Exactly.
Because we're retailing this product now as its own separate deal. Prescription drugs. The amount of ridiculous costs involved in prescription drugs for the majority of employees is, we're actually doing something I've actually never seen. We are now running a trend line that's going down on prescription drug costs. In 30 years, I have not seen that happen. And it's because we're focused on where they're being sourced. Are they the right drugs? So we've brought in clinical management. We've also brought in, if you understand what manufacturer's assistance is, where people can get either coupons or high-end drugs largely paid for by the manufacturer. You get at the end of every drug commercial, there's that, if you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help type of thing.
Yep.
I've got that down pretty good.
You do.
And so, you see all of that, and you start to realize that, number one, we source also through Canada. Okay. And Canada has additional resources through New Zealand and Australia and Britain, without getting into a lot of details.
Sure.
But that's a 30 to 80% savings. Big Pharma doesn't want to hear this. I mean, but there are ways to get it done, and we have been establishing, for our largest and best clients, we've been establishing a trend line that is actually decreasing. Wow. We stabilized it over the last couple of years, and we're 21. We actually saw that decrease by about 8 to 10%.
Jeez.
So, but again, that's just one of those areas where you focus on where's the waste, find the junk, and then pursue the junk and cut out the fat. You want people to have good, solid healthcare plans. At the same time, you don't want to have to pay an arm and a leg to have them have those.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, and here's the thing too, and I'm always curious, especially knowing that you've been in the industry for some time. How'd you even get involved? Because most people, when they talk to me about HR, employee benefits, they don't see it as sexy, okay? But at the same time, it is ever changing, and it's vital to the success of any business. And it's just not always seen that way. So how'd you get involved with this?
Well, this is ancient history. I started in the insurance business out of college. So let's talk about getting into a non-sexy business right at 22. I basically gravitated towards being in the benefit side. Okay. It made more sense. I wanted to do more B2B. So that was where I found a home and started the company up in 1990, which, I know some millennials weren't even born then. Have built it up from there. We evolved from doing benefit consulting to doing benefit administration. From there, we moved into HR administration, and then from there, we moved into HR consulting and working with folks to, either sourcing out pieces of things to make sure they're being done most efficiently, or try to get rid of some of the paper shuffle and streamline everything by applying different technologies to it.
Okay.
So
I love it. And this is what I also love, and I heard in there, the more people I have on, the more I hear about the entrepreneurship that comes with running a business, okay? Right. And so my question to you is, as an entrepreneur, how does it differ from strictly being only in the HR and benefit space?
As the CEO of my own company, we're a small company. We have about 34 employees, I think we're at right now. I lose count. But so, it gives me kind of a rare view as a CEO in terms of how am I taking care of my people? What am I doing for my folks? We don't, obviously we don't need an HR person. We have enough HR people running around. We just have to get agreement between everybody.
Sure.
But what are we doing? What are we doing to enhance and build our culture?
Okay.
We've been in the Crane's coolest places to work, which I consider to be one of the few really legitimate awards, because the grading on that is based on really mostly employee responses, as well as that's 75% of your grade.
Yeah.
25% your HR practices. And I guess when you own a company named HR Pro, you should have reasonably good HR practices. But so we've tried to make sure to be kind of that paragon environment of, we talk to people about how they're taking care of their people. We want to make sure that our people are well taken care of.
Nice.
And that's paid dividends just in terms of everybody wanting to do business with. If I'm an employee and I'm, my boss is, I'm trying to put this nicely, not a very nice person, and I don't really like where I work, versus, I like coming to work and I enjoy my coworkers and I've got a great environment to work in. There's a whole different sense of things when they pick up the phone and say, hello, this is Sally, how may I help you? Yeah. There's a difference in their whole demeanor and everything else, and it bleeds through. And we think that's been one of the credits for our growth, has been type of environment where people can really feel at home. They can feel like they belong. They're part of the family there.
That's awesome. And I'll give you kudos because a lot of companies, they'll do great service with their clients, but in-house, it's a little rough. So you're, as we like to say in the business, a product of the product. So I love hearing that.
I'm an upside down pyramid guy. My job is, as the CEO, is to support my leadership team. Their job is to support the folks who are customer facing. And I mean, we all of us are to a degree or another, not all, but most of us are to a degree or another customer facing. But knowing and building your own strong culture. I mean, we were top 10 with cranes for 3 years in a row.
Wow.
And that's in the state of Michigan. So that's not unintentional. We're rolling out some things now that if you look at where the environment has moved, people are looking for flexibility. We've gone with everybody has to be in on Wednesday. It's a great way to build a culture, but have everybody in 1 day a week.
Yeah.
And then they have to be in 2 other days a week. And it's worked out great for our folks. I've heard no complaints, and I've heard lots of good things.
Good.
And so the flexibility, we're working on rolling out a tuition assistance program.
Really?
I hope my folks don't see this for the next month or so. It's still under design. Just tuition assistance and student loan reimbursement.
Yeah.
Because you can now, under the CARES Act, they had that part where you can now let an employee, give out employees so much money, it's non-taxable to them for their student loan reimbursement and tax deductible to you as an employer.
That's perfect.
So, and also, we're going to marry that with some lifestyle accounts, which is another way to allow people. It doesn't have the same tax advantages as, say, a flexible spending account or a health savings account, but it is a way to encourage people. So, I mean, we're going to put things on there like vacations, mental health stuff, physical health stuff. We're going to roll it up kind of into a package like that. So
I love it.
We're working on that. That's going to be the latest, greatest thing we're doing. But I mean, a few years ago, I read a thing where they said most employees, the single biggest thing they're looking for is Friday afternoons off in the summer. Well, we did that since the inception of the company back in 1990. I mean, I'm going like, oh, well, it's only taken you people 20-some years to catch up. So,
but here's the thing: for you, it's stuff that helped you build a business and a successful one. And not everybody, it's having that vision to take it to where you wanted it to go or to start there.
Right.
So, kudos. And here's the other thing: I feel like this is a good transition based on some of the things you just said. You're ever changing, but you've had the ability and the opportunity to learn a lot through your career. So if there's one thing, and I know you probably can't narrow it down, so I'll give you a couple. What are some of those things that you've learned in terms that you would pass on to maybe a younger you or someone else that's just starting out owning their business? What are some career lessons that you've taken with you?
I mean, my biggest transition, I was a really, really good salesperson.
Yeah.
And at some point I said, okay, as this company's growing, I can't just continuously sell and assume that that's going to just solve all the problems. So at some point I had to transition to being a really good team leader. And that took a while. I've worked with basically the same person for 20-some years that has had to beat that into my head. And I think today I'm one of his proudest accomplishments. He's semi-retired, but he still comes back. He works with a couple of clients in Michigan yet, so he comes back once a quarter to do quarterly leadership teams. Kris Edwards is his name.
Oh, okay.
Great guy. But being a good team leader and really building a company as opposed to just selling. I was really good at that. And building up a team and knowing and understanding how to do that. I mean, I'm a big advocate of Patrick Lencioni. If you haven't read 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, everybody that starts with us gets a copy.
Really?
And told to read it.
Love it.
Because they need to understand what it is we're working towards. And that's been, I think, a big part of our success.
Yeah, you're an entrepreneur. You obviously still love sales, and you're still changing the business, okay? Right. So with all of that, if there's one thing that you want to be remembered for, what would it be, Kris?
For being a good team leader. I mean, for building up a great environment where people feel they're coming to work someplace that they really love. You know, our turnover is minuscule. We lose more people to moms who decide to stay home. We have a lot of we have a lot of maternities at my office. We hire a lot of younger women, but then they stick around. I mean, now I've got people going into their 40s and even 50s. So, but we've been through 3 almost distinctive baby booms in our office.
I love it.
We're at the end of, I think, the third one. I think we're at the end there. I think we got a couple more to go yet. But a lot of them come back. But a lot, some of them decide I'm going to stay home.
Sure.
We have in a couple of cases where we've had really good people that we know are really solid. We've worked it out so that they're working remote or they're working part-time.
Nice.
We've been that flexible. I mean, that's probably not something we would do with a brand new person starting, but if we've got somebody that's been around with us for 2-3 years, they've been a very valuable employee, we're willing to work around with it. So we've tried to deal with that in a level of flexibility, and it's really based on the team leader person who is working with them, coming to me and saying, listen, I really want to keep this person, but they're about being a mom. But from a turnover standpoint, we lose people more to they move out of the area, or it's not because they want to leave the company. I've had several people come in, I don't want to say they were in tears, but they felt really bad. They didn't want to go, but they're like, well, my husband got this job promotion and we have to go to Grand Rapids. Okay. Or this is my second child and we've decided I'm going to stay home for a few years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that they're saying, I don't really like it here, because they do. But circumstances have led to them moving on.
Well, and here's the thing, Kris, you've laid it out in the sense of, you started the business, you pivoted from, being the, hey, let's continue to grow, not that you're not growing, but that you had to transition and put the leadership hat on. And through that, you've created an environment that allows and provides for people wanting to stay and produce, and both from a sales side, but also from a environmental side. You guys have done a great job over there, and I think that speaks a lot to your leadership in the company. So,
thank you.
No, thank you. And with that, let me ask, how can people get in touch with you?
Number of different ways. Obviously, the good old-fashioned way is pick up the phone and call. Does anybody actually do that anymore?
Yes.
I could give you my cell number. You could text me, but 248-543-8181 is the direct line to the office. They can hit 0 to get, if they want to get out of voicemail, unless they're calling after hours. Although we're open until 7, 8 o'clock, because we have clients all over the country, including California, Arizona, nice. Utah, Washington, Oregon, everywhere out there.
Jeez. We
have clients in Alaska, actually, but that's a different story.
Wow.
But they can also visit one of our websites at either BenePro.com, BenePro, or HRPro.com. Either one of those websites to access more information. If they look me up on LinkedIn, I'm also on LinkedIn. Just to make sure you're spelling the name correctly, it's Christopher, Kris. Not if you go looking for a Christopher Powell, you'll find one. I don't think it'll be me. There are actually 9 of us with my name in the country, remarkably enough. But I'm the only one in Michigan, so they can also see me on LinkedIn as well.
Love it.
But please don't ask to connect to me and then immediately try to sell me something. I get that a lot. That's the CEO side. No, that frequently will get you put on a massive ignore.
It should, as it should. So, Kris, thank you again for being here, telling the story. I hope that this provides an opportunity, hopefully for more business, but also for people to reach out to HR Pro and BenePro to potentially start their career there, because it sounds like a great spot. Cranes continues to recognize you. Thanks again for being here.
We're assuming we're going to be on that list again.
Oh, hey, I believe it. We
just want to get back to top 10. We fell out of top. We were in top 10 for 3 years, which I was very proud of. We never made number 1, but it's kind of, when you get up to there, it's like, slight differentials. I don't care. I thought we did a very good job of handling the pandemic, but so many things got, with so many people, went in different directions. Yeah. And I feel like now, today, we've pulled that all back in, and we're much more focused. We grew almost 60% in the 3-year span from 2016 to 2019.
Jeez.
That fell to 2% in 2020, And last year, I think we were back up about 8%. So we're looking for that 12 to 15% type of growth again. We think that's very attainable with everything that we've got going on.
Absolutely.
So we're looking forward to it.
Love it. Thanks again, Kris.
Right.
And folks, Kris Powell, CEO of HR Pro, BenePro. Thanks again for being here. And I am again your host, Greg Coyne. Thank you all for being here. And until next time on the MISHRM Resource Partners videocast, thanks and have a great one, everyone. Take care.